We're going to go over a couple things. We're going to go over a 7-touch follow-up. And I'm going to kind of put these things in a pattern because selling to me is a game of probability and predictability. Right? Mm-hmm. Like we're going to go over how, when a person is interested in your farm club, how do you go 7 touches? How do you learn to overcome objection? That's a big thing we're going to talk about today. And I'm going to show you 5 steps I use anytime I get objection. Because if you're ever going to make a lot of money in sales, you've got to become very good at handling objection. Wouldn't you agree? And I bet you probably hear the same objections over and over and over, which would look like what?
I'm busy.
I'm busy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What else?
Think about it. I want to wait 6 months.
I want to wait 6 months. I want to think about it. Want to sleep on it. Want to pray about it. Need to talk to my husband about it. Right? Timing's not right. Out of my budget. See, these are all things. So I just want you to write this down right out of the gate. I want you to write down objection equals opposition of thought. It's just opposition of thought. Now, the reason this is critical is because there is a whole group of people, if you're doing what we're teaching you to do, okay, which means you are dedicating time every day to calling out, okay? Now, I'm going to show you what I'm doing right now over the last 90 days of the year, and as soon as you look at that, you know what you're going to say?
Oh my God.
That is a lot of stuff. Here, okay, here's what I want you to get past. You don't have to do every single thing I'm telling you. Don't get overwhelmed and paralyzed and not do nothing. Do a quarter of what I'm teaching you. Instead of making 5 outbound calls to current clients, make 3. Instead of calling on 5 new clients every day, call 3. Text message. Just get in the rhythm of devoting time. Now, why would I want you to devote time? Here's what I find. If you don't schedule time for it, it won't happen. If you ever understand Parkinson's law, that means something expands to fit the time that you give to it. So if you say, well, I'm just going to prospect throughout the day, then next thing you know, you wake up at the end of the day and you didn't prospect. And that's part of selling, is every day you got to be on the phone. You got to be talking to people, okay? Well, when you go out and you work what we're teaching you to do, so chronologically, let's put these in steps. First, we start with the explanation of service, right? Okay, and I know some people have had questions about that. You don't just unpack your explanation of service on a person the first conversation you talk to them. Like, let's say you and I first met, and you say, you know, we're having dialogue, and let me say, well, let me tell you what I believe. I believe this. Let me tell you why I believe it. Let me tell you what I do. There is an appropriate time and place to unpack that. It would be after you and I have built rapport, we've spent time with each other. Now you're like kind of waiting on me to pitch my services. Or when I'm on the phone and I'm making outbound phone calls to my hit list of people who have indicated interest, it may look like this. Hi, this is Coach Burt. Okay, is this a good time to talk? Or, this is Coach Burt from the Wilson Group. Is this a good time to talk? Yes, it is. Great. Okay, the purpose of this phone call is I notice you indicated interest on this property, right? I just have to ask you a few questions so I can help you. Now, that's going to stir some conversation. Hello? When that stirs some conversation, then after you and I are kind of going and got some rapport, then I can say, well, at the Wilson Group, we believe this. Or I believe everybody deserves the right to have a professional represent them. And because of that, I love working with people who are very interested about buying or selling real estate. And if what we talked about today sounds good to you, what would stop us from moving to the next step? Everybody with me? And I'm always pushing people. So don't get, a lot of people get hung up on the EOS. Like, when do I give it? Do I give the whole 6 parts? And what I would tell you is, number one, the EOS is just as much for you as it is your prospect. You do get that, right? It really forces you to get clarity. So when you're on the phone with people, you know you've got a good rhythm and good cadence about what it is. So we start with the explanation of service because we believe what? Having something to say is just as valuable as having somebody to say it to. Now we got a good EOS, then we move to the selling system, which would consist of what categories? If I was quizzing you saying like, how do I go out and generate leads? What would you tell me? Every week I need a few things. What would you tell me? There we go. We need a hit list, which are people, new money. That new money can come from current clients. See, there are a lot of the reasons I call my current clients, especially in the first 30, 60 to 90 days, is because that's when they're the most excited. You live with anybody long enough and you will find a reason not to like them. You understand what I'm saying? So after they're the hottest for you right at the point of sale in the first 30, 60, 90 days. So I'm really big on that's the perfect time to be asking for the referrals. So sometimes when you look at my planner, my hit list literally consists of calling on current clients and asking them, who else do we need to be helping? You follow me? So it's perfectly fine for your hit list when you come into the day during your call times to say, I'm going to be calling on these 3 current clients that I've got. How's it going? Who else do we need to be helping? My hit list can also consist of just new people. Like, hey, I know so-and-so's looking for a house. I got a tip that so-and-so was interested. I was at a party the other night and somebody said that they were unhappy with the current house they lived in, right? That could be hit list. My hit list could also be past clients if I'm a real estate agent. That's why I really suggest 2 days after, day of, 2 days after, 2 weeks after, 2 months after, and I'm always looking for a reason to call out to people, okay? So let me give you an example. Hey, we're having a Christmas party December 2nd. Really want you to be there. Look forward to coming. How's everything going? Things are going great. You know, great. We love working with you. Who else do we need to be working with? I'm always looking for any reason at all. So I just make up things. You know, I just make up things. I make up a reason and I tell my sales team, call them. Just call them all. Tell them what? Invite them to the Christmas party. Invite them to this. Invite them to that. My hit list could also consist of strategic partnerships. So I'm looking for partners. I'm looking for partners. Divorce attorney, CPA, mortgage originator, insurance advisor. So when you're building your hit list, it can come from any of those people. Is everybody clear on that? Now, when you say I'm going to call out from 9 to 11 or 9 to 10, Bill told me some of y'all were freaking out about the 2 hours. I'm like, a bunch of wimps. Come on. Suck it up. Here's what I'm saying. I don't care if you call out for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. Listen, it's your money, not mine. Okay? I devote 2 hours a day to calling out because I believe that increases the probability of us making money. So if you say I can only give 30 minutes, that's up to you. Everybody follow me? But I do think you need an hour a day of calling out. Okay? So who are you calling on? Hit list? Who else are you calling on? Farm Club. And the Farm Club, which is what we're going to get into today, is all the people who have indicated interest in using your services, but what? They're not moving. And I'm going to show you exactly why they're not moving today. And I'm going to show you how to overcome their objections today. Because they do have objection, and they have objection because of 2 important things. There's something you don't know. And most likely what they're telling you is what? The reason they're giving you for not moving forward is?
Just the tip of the iceberg.
That's right. Let me put it another way. It's a lie. They're lying to you. Now, why would we lie to somebody in the South?
Because I don't want you all up in my
That's exactly right. Hey, because I like you. You seem like a nice person. You've been very helpful to me. I don't really want to hurt your feelings. So what I don't do is I don't tell you the truth. So instead of telling you the truth, what I give you is some smoke screen. Let me think about it, pray about it, talk to my wife about it. Timing's not right, budget's not quite right. But that's not the real reason I'm not moving forward many times. That is a lie. They don't mean to be like liars, you know. But what I mean is that's just what we do when we don't know what to do, is we just give you some excuse. So if I don't know what the real objection is, how can I overcome it? So I'm going to show you how to ask a question today to isolate the real objection. Because once you know the real objection, I can then attack it. So during my call outs, I got my EOS, I got my hit list, I got my farm club. How many times are we going in the farm club, by the way? If you're in the farm club and you indicate interest, how many touches are we going? 7. Minimum. Most agents do what? Go 7 touches. Now, when you leave here today, I want you to check your voicemail, because Bill told me that he tried to call many of you and your voicemail box was full. and it could not accept voicemails. So I want you to check. I want you to check, because he had a list of people he was calling to make sure you were here. And he said, some of those folks I left a voicemail, I didn't get a call back, and I didn't. What if he was sitting on the other line with the $400,000, $500,000, $600,000 deal? That make sense? So I want you to really be cognizant of these things. If people are trying to get in touch with you, you need to really, really be accessible. This is part of the deal, okay? So a lot of times I call on people, and I got a deal for them, I can't get in touch with them. I mean, I'm like, I'm trying to give you money. I got a referral, I got a friend, I got something, and I just can't, right? Can't get in touch with you. So this is very critical. All right, so Farm Club. Who else do I need to be calling on during my call times? Top 25. Now, give me an example of top 25.
Advocates.
Okay, my biggest advocates. What do I say to those folks?
You love them.
Yeah, hey, you don't need a script for this one. Hey, it's like I love working with you. Man, what's going on in your life? How's your kids? How can I be helping you? Hey, we got something big coming up in the next, right? These people should be referring you. You know the biggest reason your top 25 don't refer you? They don't hear from you. Right? So think of this. Top of mind, high frequency, high touch, in your face. You and I are like this constantly. So if you say, like, who do I call during my call times? This is like a little formula. Hit list, Farm Club, top 25. Chris, you said past clients, right? All of those people, so every night you just sit back and map out your day and you say, hey, here's who I'm going to call on tomorrow. Now, what's going to happen when you make that volume of calls is you're going to uncover some things. You're going to uncover a deal that's happening. You're going to uncover some people that are interested. You're going to uncover some things that people, of some interest, right? Okay, so let me ask you a question. Is there anything that I don't know about that would prohibit you from dedicating some time every day to making call-outs? Is there anything that I don't know? Notice how I'm isolating this question. Is there anything keeping you from making call-outs?
Fear.
Okay, all right, good. Now, the reason I asked you that question is, you know the number one reason that a person doesn't move forward on anything?
Fear.
Fear. Fear of what? Unknown?
Rejection.
Fear of rejection? What if I told you there is no such thing as rejection? What if we just addressed that right up front and we said, maybe they don't want what we've got, but somebody else will? Right? So if we could take a rejection off the table, what would keep us from making outbound calls? What would keep us from putting ourselves in position? See, I think as a salesperson, the way we understand predictability is this. If we get the same objections, we need a great way to handle those objections. Like I have a five points I do when I get disappointed. Like today, you should have got this in your email. There's 5 things I do when I get disappointed. Number 1, I grieve it just like everybody else does. I get mad about it. But number 2, then I go through this little formula. You know why? Because I get disappointed daily. Don't you? So if I'm going to get disappointed daily, wouldn't it be a good idea I have a little formula for handling it? Objection. I get objections daily. Okay? An objection can come from my 5-year-old daughter. It can come from my wife. It can come from my employees. It can come from my friends. It can come when I push something out to the market. So I have a formula for overcoming objection. I have a 5 rules of a crisis. When I have a crisis or there's a crisis, there's 5 steps I go through. And the reason I'm doing that is because I know these things are going to happen. So why not just be ready for those things? Right? So you said fear, okay? Now, does that fear prohibit us from advancing our business down the field? Yes or no? Because what we won't do if we got fears, we won't get on the phone. We won't go to a networking event. We won't place ourselves in a position to be rejected. We really keep ourselves close, and that really prohibits us from going out and selling at a much higher level. So let's look at that one, okay? Here is fear. Okay? Here's what fear is. And there's a couple words up here I really want you to notice. It's an unpleasant emotion. Anytime you see the word emotion, I want you to think of the word feelings. Because just because feelings are real, that don't make them right. Can a feeling be influenced? How many of you have woken up in the morning with a bad attitude and you listen to a song and it totally changed your mood or disposition? You know why? It's just a feeling. It's just a feeling, right? Well, fear is a feeling. It's an emotion. But here's the good news. That feeling can be influenced. Basically, fear is caused by a belief, notice that word belief, that someone or something is going to create harm to us in the future. Now I want you thinking, all of the reason a person doesn't move forward when they buy or sell a house, all of the fears they have of why they don't take action on buying a house or selling a house, okay? It's created by belief. Let me give an example. I'm selling some rental properties, and I bought one rental property for $83,000 in the middle of the recession. I sold it yesterday for $169,000. I bought another rental property for $100,000, and I got a contract today on it for $210,000. So if you tell me there's not a good time to sell a property, that's $100,000. Here's the best news. They're not even good properties. You understand what I'm telling you? They're not even great houses. So you're telling me we can make $100,000? I bought those 4 years ago. So here's one of my renters. I went to one of my renters and I said, I know that you really like this house. You've done a lot of work to it. You know, your son lives here. He goes to school here. Would you like to purchase this property for me because I'm going to sell it? First thing out of her mouth is, I would love to purchase this property, but I don't have 20% to put down. So I want you to understand something. A lot of fear is created because, I'm going to use a term here, and I don't mean it negative, by ignorance. Ignorance means I don't even know what I don't know. She was ignorant to the fact that there were other loans that she could get to buy that property. No, because she had a belief, and the belief had been programmed in her mind for years that you got to have 20% down to purchase the property. So I said, if I could show you a way to purchase the property without putting 20% down, would you buy that? Would you move forward with buying the property? Yeah, of course I would. Right? Now, where does the belief come, this fear that you're feeling? Fear breeds call reluctance. So because of fear, I won't do the actual necessary things I got to do. I won't get on the phone. I won't talk to people. I won't go 7 touches. I won't create any tension between me and the prospect because I'm afraid I'll lose them. Everybody with me? So I won't really say what I need to say to them because I'm afraid. Where does that fear initially, where does that belief initially start? How many of you have young kids? Okay, I have a 5-year-old daughter. What do we start telling kids as soon as they are born?
That'll hurt you.
Yeah, be careful. Don't run. Don't talk to strangers. Don't go here. Watch that. Now, fast forward to where that person's 30 or 40 years old. What's in their brain?
Be careful.
Be careful. Don't talk to strangers. Don't, right? So how does that hurt us in sales? We still got a belief, and that belief was planted in us as a little kid. And now we still have that fear. What if they reject me? What if they laugh at me? Number one fear today is public speaking. It's not even fear of dying. It's fear of getting up in front of another group of people and actually talking. What are they really afraid of? Yeah, afraid they'll laugh at me, afraid they'll be embarrassed, afraid they won't accept me. I mean, it is deeply hardwired into our human psyche to be scared of rejection. I mean, deeply. Well, this is in direct competition with us being great at sales, right? Because I would try to teach you to ask without consideration, which means you go into it believing they're going to like you. You go into it believing we're going to put a deal together. You go into believing you don't know how much money they have or what they can or can't do. So this is the polar opposite of coming into a deal being scared to death that they won't even talk to you. Oh, well, they didn't call me back, so they're not interested. Maybe they were just busy today. Maybe they got a lot going on. Maybe they're, right? So when you're thinking about this fear, you got to really understand you got fear, which is prohibiting you from taking action, the actions you need to take. So when it comes time to make your call outs or call on your prospects, what do? You find something else to do that's more comfortable. Well, it's more comfortable to do what? Text message. It's more comfortable to email because I don't have to fear them rejecting me that way. I don't have to hear it. Okay, so I start doing all these things to overcome that fear. Now, when a person has fear, here's what happens. Fear breeds uncertainty, and look at the words for uncertainty. Ambivalence, vacillation, confusion, lack of clarity, insecurity. So when a person has this fear, it drives uncertainty. When a person has uncertainty, guess what they don't do? They don't move forward. So how many people have people sitting in their farm club right now that have indicated interest in moving forward and they're just stalling on you? You know why? They're afraid of something. But to overcome that fear, You got to figure out what that fear is. So what could be some of the fears that a person has on why they wouldn't move forward? Because I want you to get real clear on this. This is where the objection comes from. Objection is opposition of thought. The reason I'm not moving forward with you is because I have not seen enough to take action. Right? Like you haven't given me a compelling reason to move forward. I don't know enough information. If I had enough information, I can't figure out how to make the numbers work. What are some fears people have on the reason they don't move forward? Yes?
How about I give you a case study?
Absolutely.
All right. So I get, through one way or another, I get contacted by an old acquaintance, another business I was in. Said, hey, somebody recommended you as a real estate agent. I didn't even know you were doing real estate. Yes, I am. I'd love to talk to you. All right, so we just kind of talked. Well, then all of a sudden, 2 weeks later, he said, I'm going to be in touch. Just, give me a while. 2 weeks later, he calls me. We found a house we want. We already own a house. Can you show it to us? Heck yeah, let's go. So I set it all up, got the whole thing done. We go to the house. I met his wife. I never met. Everything I felt like went great. I've been on enough of these things. I felt like it went great. And their big fear was, well, here we are coming to the holidays. How are we going to sell our house? I said, we'll sell your house.
Yep.
I said, let's just get together. Let me come over and look at it. Let me go. I'm going to do all my research. We're going to talk.
Okay.
So they say, okay. Well, the next day, I talked to the agent. I go, luckily, this was in an outlying area, not Nashville. So I said, would you consider a home sale contingency? She said, yeah, if it's the right offer, we will. We'll consider one. I said, great. So I tell this guy, I said, hey, I told that agent they would consider a home sale contingency, if you want to talk about this. Hey, that's great. I'm got to work tomorrow, but I'm going to have my wife get in touch with you. Well, I don't hear from my wife. I don't hear anything for the whole weekend. I don't hear anything. So I check back in with them on Monday or Tuesday. I see the place has got a contract. First thing I'm thinking is they used to use a very high-profile agent up in the Gallatin area. I think they've gone back to that agent, and that's who it's under contract with. But so I reach out and say, hey, I just found out that thing's under contract. But they're saying we could get another one in if we want to. I figure that's a great reason to call. He texts back, we just decided it's just not a good time. We want to kick the ball down into the spring, and let's do it late when early spring. We'd love to work with you at that time.
Okay.
I'm just like, you need to be working with me now because I can help you get your house ready.
Yeah.
Late winter's going to be here.
Of course.
Okay, so there you go.
Okay.
Help me out.
All right. So.
Go get that list.
Yeah.
That contract.
Okay. All right. So a couple things I want to bring out. Thank you for volunteering that, by the way. Jocko Willink wrote a book called Extreme Ownership. I want to implant in your mind that when a person does not move forward, it's not their fault, it's your fault. Okay? Now this is extreme, but I want you to bear with me here. You with me, Karen? I want you to bear with me. I want you to bear with me. When you take extreme ownership, and even for other people's actions, it forces you to get very good at this. For example, if I was going through that sale, I would be dissecting like this. Apparently, I didn't give him enough information for him to make action. Okay? Apparently, I didn't explain to him well enough or good enough on why he should take action now versus wait till the spring. Apparently, somewhere along the way, I didn't do something I should, because if I would, he would have taken action with me. Does that make sense?
I'm totally that guy.
Okay. So extreme ownership means this. Let's say I call you, and you're in my farm club, and I've called you 3 or 4 times, and you've never called me back, never even acknowledged that I called you. Okay? What I would say when I called you the 5th time, number one, I would try multiple other means to get in touch with you. Facebook Messenger, text message, LinkedIn, video, audio. I would have maybe another person call you that was sold on me. Like I would do 6 or 7 things to get your attention if I thought there was, right? And here's what I would say. Hey, have you noticed how hard I've worked to get your attention? For some reason, I've not been able to get your attention, and that's not your fault, it's mine. Maybe I've not been interesting enough. Maybe I hadn't said the magic words. Maybe I hadn't showed you how good of a job that I could do with you, right? But for some reason, you're not calling me back. That's how I would leave a voicemail. I'm taking ownership for that. Not her for not calling me back, right? Me. Total ownership says that I'm going to own the whole thing. And the reason you're not moving forward is because I have not done a good job of explaining a sense of urgency, timing, right? And we're going to get to that objection in a second. I have not done my job of articulating this to you, because if I had, you would have taken action. Now, it's extreme. Okay, here's one more example. So last week I was in Denver speaking. I was speaking at a big RE/MAX franchise sales thing where all the executive vice presidents were there. And what was funny is my wife had never been to Denver. We come to Denver, you know, and we're riding in Ubers, and we get in the first Uber, and the Uber pulls up. It's 30 degrees, 40 degrees. All the windows are down. And I get in, and my wife was like, "What is that smell? What is that smell?" And I'm like, "That is marijuana, sweetheart." Okay? Our Uber driver is high, okay? And that's why the windows are down, and he's got 7 trees that smell in the front. You understand what I'm saying? I'm like, this is the strangest thing. And he was going slow and then fast, and it was like everywhere we went in Denver was like that. Yeah, he's eating brownies. And, I mean, but we get to the airport, and the airport in Denver is a mess. You got to get on trains, and you got to ride here, and there's all these people, and I was frustrated. And I'm remembering this Jocko Willis thing. I'm sitting there going, man. And so then I say this, it ain't their fault that this is a mess. It's my fault for not making enough money to have my own airplane. You see how extreme that is? Now, I was joking with my wife, but that's...
She's like, yeah, get to work.
But you see what I'm saying? Listen, if we went out and sold enough, we could have an airplane. And guess what we wouldn't have to do? We wouldn't have to go through the Denver airport. That's total ownership. That's an extreme case, but that's how I begin to think. Like you're not moving forward because I have not done something to articulate this to you. And if I did a better job of this, then you would move forward. Right? Now, not in every case, because in some cases there's nothing you can do. But with that kind of ownership is the kind of ownership I try to get people to take. Okay, let me give one more example. We were trying to sell a guy in Miami, Florida who was interested in our coaching services. And he called in, and I could tell the guy was uncertain. So he had high levels of uncertainty. See, your person has uncertainty. So what was they doing because of that uncertainty? They were ambivalent. They were vacillating back and forth. They're doing exactly what the script's telling me they're going to do when they're uncertain. So the way you overcome uncertainty is you feed people more information. And you feed it to them in as many ways as you can. If I got to shoot a video, if I got to take you out here and show you, if I got to draw it up on a piece of paper, whatever I have to do for you to understand what I'm trying to connect with you. So this guy in Miami is trying to get our services, and I get on the phone with him one time, and I can tell, man, here was his excuse. I don't know if I have the right team. Why would I spend any money on coach if I don't have the right team? I don't clearly understand how you're going to help us. And my sales guy, who's a new guy, he talks to him, then he talks to him again, and then he comes to me and he says, Coach, I have done everything I can to get him off the fence. It's like, I don't know if he's a dum-dum. I don't know if he's slow. I don't know why he didn't get it. Like, this is what my sales guy's telling me. And I'm like, so you're telling me that you've done everything you can for him to understand this, right? Yes, sir. Have you put it in a video? Nope. Have you got me back on the phone with him? Nope. Have you got another salesperson on the phone with him? Nope. Have you sent it to him in audio? Nope. You see what I'm saying? Like, we went through all this stuff. There was like 6 things that he hadn't done. And I said, but you're telling me you've done everything you can to explain this to him. For some reason, what? He's still uncertain. So what do I do when I think you're uncertain? What do you think I do?
Feed you more
I keep giving him more information. So I said, let me cut another video. Hey, Mark, I know you're uncertain. There's a couple reasons I feel like you're uncertain. And I start coaching the guy, right? I get that you don't feel like you have the right team. The coaching will expose if you have the right team or not. And I start tackling every one of these objections, right? He don't even respond to the video. I don't care. Just keep giving to him. So my sales guy listens. To his credit, he's coachable. He goes to our top insurance person that we're coaching in the program and gets him to call him. Okay? Because they're both in insurance. This guy calls back in again. I get on the phone with him one more time. I address it. And what does he say? I'm in. Now look at how we just kept feeding him information. Does that make sense? So what could happen is you haven't fed me enough information for me to make this decision here. And that's on you. It ain't on me. Okay? You fed me a little bit of information, but you hadn't continued to feed me enough information. Or you haven't fed it to me in a way that I understand it. Right? So the number one reason this person is telling you that he's not moving forward is timing. But here's what I think. What do you think I think? It's a lie. That ain't the real reason. He's just telling you that.
I suspect so.
Okay? All right, now, how do we find out if that's the real reason?
Feeding more information.
What do you think?
Sorry.
Okay, all right, you were in a side conversation
Sorry,
over here?
I'm-
Oh, okay, all right.
Somebody just dropped something off for me and I was like, listening.
Okay, all right, okay. All right. So here's the deal. When I have fear and I have uncertainty, I don't take action. Most likely, I give you an excuse, which is just a lie. Timing. Timing's just not right. Let's wait till the spring. Blah, blah, blah. So how do we find out what the real objection is? The only way is to go through a series of questions. So I want you to write this down, okay? Did you stay in touch with him after he told you he would call you the weekend? Did you initiate that, or did you wait for him to initiate that?
On the weekend, when I didn't hear on Friday,
Mm-hmm.
you know, like I thought I would,
Uh-huh.
I did not call.
Okay. Why did you not call?
I didn't call because I figured I didn't want to be a bother.
Okay.
I didn't want to be
Okay.
pushy.
I get it.
I didn't feel like they liked pushing.
Okay, good.
So, that
Now,
could be right or wrong.
this is a good point. I think it's a myth, though.
Okay,
I don't think you fed him enough information.
okay.
Okay? Because here's the deal. There's ways to touch a person without being a bother.
So do you think that he could have explained, I mean, because I struggle with that as well.
Mhm.
I don't want to be that person that
Mhm.
people see coming and they're like, oh my
Yeah, yeah.
gosh, it's Julie. All she wants to talk about is real estate.
Yep.
She wants me to sell my house. She wants me to buy something.
Yeah.
I don't want to, you know, and they're running. I don't want to be that person, but I want to be their resource. So it's a fine line between how do I stay in your mind as I'm your go-to person without making you feel like you need to
You
run
don't want
away
to
from
miss
me.
out on a great opportunity.
Right.
Well,
That
here-
works.
Here's the point, though. So think about this. When you have a level of certainty about you and conviction that he's going to miss out on a big opportunity here, he just may not know. He may be ignorant to that. So I feel like it's my job to make sure. Now, there's ways for me to touch that guy without feeling pushy. So I want you to get out of your mindset that the word challenge means aggressive or pushy, because it don't. It means reframing, right? So he could say, there's a lot of ways to touch a person without saying, are you ready to go? You know, hey, I may send a text message, hey, you're on my mind today. I know this is a big decision that you're making. A lot of times I believe that a lot of times I believe that sometimes we're sitting on big opportunities, but maybe we may or may not know it. I really believe this is a big opportunity and a great property, you know. And so I just want you to know I'm working for you today. If you have any questions of me, just call me back. Nothing, you know, you don't have to be pushy. But here's what I think. Those are feelings he's having. And those feelings are like, how would I feel if I missed out on a huge opportunity and you were my agent and you didn't tell me? Would I be mad at you? Mm-hmm. See, in my opinion, they're coming to you because they're uncertain. It's your job to say, look, thank you for coming to me and trusting me with this. I personally believe this is an incredible opportunity, especially with this home sale contingency that they put in there. And they say, well, the timing's not right. I always like to say this. I really believe that that's a myth. The timing's never really right to take action. If you wait till the spring, how would you feel if we couldn't get this house for you or a house similar to this with those contingencies? Now, I'm going to show you a formula I use, but I think my philosophy is sell it, resell it. So the guy was sold or interested. I think you continue to soft sell him right up until the moment you have a contract, and then you continue to sell him that this is a good decision, right? You continue affirming. So maybe what I wouldn't do is wait on him. I won't say, will you call me back? What I may have seen was just a little soft touch, a little ding, a little text me, hey man, I think we're sitting on an incredible opportunity here. I just don't want to be responsible for you missing it. And a lot of things happen on the weekends. It's one of the number one times that people make decisions. You know, just a little push, okay? Yes?
Well, I feel like one of the problems right now with our market, I mean, like if you really believe that that was an awesome opportunity for your client, I don't have a problem when I feel like, oh my gosh, this is everything they've been looking for and
Yep.
everything they want and this is the house for them. But in our market now, you're rarely, I find, I'm rarely in that situation. I'm kind of looking at something that's like,
Yeah.
kind of okay,
Yeah.
not quite everything they've asked for,
Yep.
over budget already, and you know and so then you kind of get into the whole thing of, is this a fabulous opportunity? Well, it might be a better opportunity than 6 months from now, because
That's
it
right.
seems to just be escalating.
That's
I
right.
mean, it is really hard when you, because you've got, I don't know, I just feel like you have a lot of people who, it's not necessarily about selling them the house, or it's not really an amazing opportunity, or perfect opportunity, or really what they asked you to find them. You know, so you're kind of, I find that I'm more in the process of kind of helping them walk through that decision-making process.
Yep.
And ask them questions about whether or not this is the right thing or not. But it, I mean, it does get kind of hard, don't y'all feel that way?
Well, let me ask you this question. Number one, all real estate is local,
Right.
meaning what's a good opportunity here in Nashville may not be a good opportunity somewhere else. And what I would tell you is that I believe it's a myth that a person is going to get 100% of what they want.
Yes.
So you are right. Today, based on the circumstances in this market, based on what you're telling me, this is the best opportunity I can bring you. Now, you don't have to take it, right? But based on my expertise and this market, right, this is the best opportunity I'm bringing you today at this price point. Now, if they say it's over budget, I'm going to show you the formula that I use on how to do that. But I guess what I'm saying to his point is I'm coming to you for a reason. If you wanted to grow your business and Susan came to me and said, what do you think I should do? I wouldn't say, well, what do you think, Susan?
Here's what I think about that situation.
Yeah.
The minute he said the holidays,
Yeah.
I would have asked some questions to clarify how I could simplify this huge process, because he's probably thinking, oh my God, we have to pack, it's the holidays,
Yeah.
family coming in. And so now they're overwhelmed, and the fact that they would consider a home for sale off as a contingency is a perfect holiday scenario. That's kind of what.
All right,
I
now,
would unpack
well,
it
here, okay,
and-
so I'm going to give you the formula, okay? Because I know you're dying to hear it, aren't you? This is very critical. So let's go back. Objection is just what?
It's uncertainty.
Opposition.
It's opposition of thought. So did they have opposition of thought to you?
Yes.
You wanted to move forward and they didn't.
Yep.
They did on
They-
2 days later.
Okay, they did.
That night.
So what are they doing? Vacillating. What they're looking for is certainty. They need another person to walk in their life. And sometimes with another person, you got to be a little stern. Like sometimes I say to people, look, you told me what you wanted and I brought it to you on a silver platter. But, okay, so here's my formula, okay? So number one, when you get objection, we're going to walk through his. Number one, you write down this, you listen. You just listen. I know it seems common, but a lot of real estate agents do not listen to what they're saying. Number two, you acknowledge. So let's take yours for example. Holidays, timing. We don't know what the real objection is here. So what we say is we agree with them. I understand. I can understand why it would be, why you would feel like that. The only reason you're going to do that is to get agreement from them. Because if you start asking them, well, why wouldn't you want to do it right now? Why wouldn't you take advantage of this opportunity? Why puts a person in a defensive posture? Are you on my team or not? Because I'm having to explain everything to you when you ask me why. Like, why can't you see this unbelievable opportunity here, right? So you never say that. What you say is, I understand. I agree with you. I understand. I get that the timing may not feel right to you. So here's my favorite questions, part 3 of overcoming objection. Write this down, isolation. Now, so here's the question I would ask them. Is there any other reason outside of the holiday season that would prohibit you from moving forward with this property? What I'm trying to do is figure out what the real problem is. Okay? So this is my favorite part of any objection. Is there any other reason outside of this one thing, you saying the timing is not right, that would prohibit you from moving forward? If they balk at all on that, they lied to you. Right? So I really told you the timing not right, but what the real problem is what? Man, the price and the budget, and I don't like this. Okay, now, if they change objections on you, then you start over again. I understand. Is there any other reason outside of this, the price, that is keeping you from moving forward on this property? Because what I'm trying to do is extract the truth. So let's say they tell you, no, it's just the timing, man. It's just the timing. All right, now, after you isolate, you then validate. So if I could show you how to create some timing and momentum here at the end of the year where the holidays was not an issue, you're telling me you would move forward with this property, right? You see, I asked that question. I ask it, and then I get a quick agreement. So you're telling me if I could show you how the timing is really not a problem here of selling art, right? And have an example. I sold my house on Memorial Day. Okay, so I tell a story. You know, the timing in real estate, people make big decisions on the weekends and on holidays because they're off and their mind's free. So it's really not a big deal about the holidays, right? He's just saying that. So if I could show you how we could get you in this property during the holidays, you're telling me you would move forward with this? And he's going to say yes or no. Okay? Now look at what I did. I listened, I acknowledged, I isolated, and I validated him. Okay? Now, I'm going to add a fifth piece to this equation. What I like to do, which is where a lot of people in the South struggle with, is I like to challenge the assumption of that person. So when I say challenge, the very first thing I get is I don't want to be what?
Pushy.
Say it. Pushy. Let me just ask you, do you feel like he missed out on a big opportunity?
I do.
Okay. Do you have conviction about it?
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel bad about it?
I do.
Do you think he'll feel bad about it at some point in the future?
In
Possibly.
the spring, when he's ready to do this. And
So do you feel like you should have challenged him a little bit more? Okay. Who's the expert here? Them? Him or them?
Yeah.
See, I'm coming to you. You got to get this in your mind. I'm coming to you because I don't know what to do.
Right.
You don't go to the doctor and say, hey, this is what I want you to do. Okay? You go to the doctor and say, what am I supposed to do here? Because you're an expert. The doctor sometimes says, look, you got to do this, you got to do this, and I know you don't like it and you may not want to hear it, but here's what's got to happen. Okay? Because the doctor is positioned as an expert. You got to get in your mind that that's what you are. So when he balks on you with this timing thing, the challenge would look like this. I can understand why you think the timing is not right. But I have studied all of this, right, based on the market conditions today and the economics of too much demand and not enough supply. Man, this is an incredible opportunity. And how would you feel if I called to come back in the spring and you wanted to do this and I couldn't do it for you because it ain't there? How would you feel? And I don't want to make that phone call to you. So at least so I think he could have pushed him a little bit harder. Right? Now, if you push him too hard, he says, look, I'm not buying it, man. But when I push a person, what they typically say? You're right. You got me. Write it up.
And there's a reason he called you.
Yeah. So I want you to understand, outside of challenge, the word challenge, I want you to write this down. Reframe. Reframe.
Reframe.
Reframe. Like I'm reframing their thinking. Like they're coming with an assumption, and his assumption is, hey, time is bad, holidays, I can buy this puppy in the spring. Well, that ain't true. Okay? His assumption is wrong. Right? Yes.
I've got a situation where I have a listing and the property is very unique. It's the most expensive in an older neighborhood. It's a newer construction. And the potential buyer is an agent and his wife. They came on their own to see the house and he called and said, our timing is like next spring.
Okay.
But we fell in love with your house.
Okay.
We love it. It's like, well, okay, let's do it. He said, well, we can't. We live in Nolensville. Our daughter's coming to school, in private school outside of town in the spring or next year.
Okay.
Well, I'm sure they transfer her right now. They take people all the time. Well, our other daughter is in preschool and she can't leave until next year. And I didn't ask why she can't.
Okay.
Well, he's like, just please keep me in the loop and we're going to try to come up with some creative things. It's like, okay. He assured me their townhouse would sell very quickly in Nolensville, which he's probably right. So then, have an open house. Well, here comes his wife and his mother-in-law
Yeah.
and daughter. And I didn't know who they were. We were just talking. And she told me who her husband was and whatnot. Well, Mom jumps on the bandwagon and it's like, well, this house needs this. And I can't believe they chose this in a 2013 construction. And to renovate this and bring this up to today's standards would just be very expensive. I just paid $5,000 for my bathtub in Belmead.
Right.
I'm going. I just stopped
Yeah.
at that point.
Yeah.
And so he's emailed me since and said, we want to bring our contractor and look and blah, blah, blah. And my people sort of need to sell. And I don't want to say to them, you know, I told them that she came back to the open house, but they're being critical on the things that they wanted to improve, and I said, it's not a new construction, they're not building
Yeah.
to their exact needs,
Yeah.
and, you know, if
So,
you want that. then you
okay,
want it.
so I think it's your job as the agent to reframe their thinking. So let's go through our steps here. Because, listen, just because my mom believes things doesn't mean I believe everything my mom believes. I mean, I'm 41 years old. We got different taste. Just because mom did it don't mean I'm going to do it. Okay? And so let's go through our steps. So you're listening, okay? So the person comes to you and you say, I understand. Get agreement. What's the question we got to ask to isolate what the real problem is? So what was the first objection they gave you?
The agent, who would be the buyer,
Buyer.
was basically the school for their kids.
Okay.
And I know the private school would take.
All right, so don't go there yet.
Okay.
We ask a question. What's the question? Chris, what's the question? We got to find out because we don't know if that's that's his number one objection. That's just something he threw out there. What's the question we got to ask? Is there any other reason outside of your, besides the school, that I don't know about that would keep you from moving forward? See, we don't know if that's the number one thing or not. He could be using that. Poor kid, don't even know he's getting used for an excuse. Right? We don't know if that's an excuse. He may be thinking about the renovations himself, but he's not telling you, he's lying to you. So if he says no, it's just this one thing. Okay? So now we know this is the objection, right? So you're telling me if I could show you a way that the private school would accept your child, if I could get that information for you, you're telling me you'd move forward with this property, right? See what I'm saying? Now, then when they start giving you some other objections like this, this, and this, that's when you challenge their thinking. I can understand why you think that way, but this is not a new home construction, it is. And because of that, what you're really getting is you're getting a little bit lower price. You understand what I'm saying? Then you start making your case because you're the educator here. You're feeding them information. Okay? So I listen, I acknowledge, I isolate, I validate, and I challenge. Now, do you feel like I'm being pushy when I'm doing that?
Absolutely.
You feel like I am being pushy?
I do feel you're very pushy.
All right.
But you do it in a way that I really, really need to learn how to do it.
Yeah, well, here's what I'm... So this is something I say a lot. I say, here's something I say. With your permission, can I tell you, can I be honest and frank with you here?
I like that.
Okay? Because you came to me for a reason. I can understand why you feel this way. I'm acknowledging. But based on my experiences, let me just give you a few other ways to look at this. This is a 2013 property, right? Because of this. Now, if you would like for me to get a contractor in here and see what the upgrades are looking, right? I'd be happy to do that for you so you feel comfortable with it. What I'm trying to do is just push back just a little bit. Because here's what a lot of salespeople do. They just quit. They give up. Like you told me timing wasn't right. What do I say? Okay. Call me back when the timing's right. I've had people call in and say, I can't do it. It's too expensive. And get on the phone with them for 10 minutes. The next thing you know, they're like, I'm in. Sign me up. Well, you just told me, right? So if you're really good at this, the formula gives me confidence. Okay? I used this on my kid last night, my 5-year-old daughter. She's supposed to be in bed at 9 o'clock. You know what she said? Daddy, can I stay up to 9:30? I understand why you'd want to stay up to 9:30. Because sometimes Daddy likes to stay up late too. Is there any other reason outside of you want to stay up and watch this television show that keep you from going to bed on time like you're supposed to? No, I just want to watch television. So here comes the challenge. Can't we both agree that when you don't get enough sleep, sometimes you pitch a big fit and you get in trouble, and sometimes you get a little spanking on the bottom because you can't, right? When you don't sleep like you should, and you got gymnastics tomorrow, and don't you think it's a good idea that you go to bed at 9 like you're supposed to? You know what you said? You got me, Dad. I'll get into bed. See how I overcome a rejection? I listened, I acknowledged, I isolated, I validated, and then I challenged her. Most of the time when I challenge a person, you know what they say? You're right. So we'll take the guy over there that you're working. If you challenge him just a little bit, man, I wouldn't be doing my job. Here's how I'd say that. I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't tell you what an incredible opportunity I think this is. And I don't want to come back in the spring and you be mad at me when you don't have this property.
In this case, I'm going to add one more caveat to it because this was my first meeting with them.
Yeah, yeah.
You know this happens. And
Yeah,
this is part
absolutely.
of my spiel when I get somebody in my chair for my buyer consultation.
Yep.
We're going to get going. Are you prepared that maybe the first place we go see might be the one?
Yeah, that's good.
But I I would add that in
Yeah.
this case. Thank
That's
you.
a great question.
This is the first time, I know, and I don't wanna seem like the guy, wow, I just showed up, I'm gonna sell you
Yeah.
a house regardless tonight.
Yeah.
No, it's this possibility.
You know, you're not pushing people into something they don't want to do. Don't misunderstand me. Like, to your point, the fact is, based on today's market and today's circumstances, this is one of the best opportunities I can bring you at the price point you want. That's just a reality. Okay, so you're not trying to make them. They're big boys and big girls. Okay, if they make a buying decision, that's on them. All you're doing is giving them the facts. But what I found is, we want to be liked so bad, and we have such a fear of pushing. I'm really coming to you because I need you to tell me the truth, right? Like, what if I called you and said, I'm absolutely hell-bent on living this subdivision in Nashville, and I absolutely love it, but you know there is another subdivision that has 3 houses in it that are better than the one I'm looking at, that has a better everything, and I don't even know it. It's okay for you to say, I can understand why you would want to live in there. I love the houses in there. But with your permission, I'd like to show you another subdivision. It's got some unbelievable houses at better price points and more amenities. Would you be open to that? That's a challenge.
And if you're not, it's okay, because if you like this other subdivision for whatever reason, then I'm with you.
Yeah. But here's the deal. What if I move in there and then you didn't tell me, and 2 months later I'm mad at you? And I'm like, well, why didn't you show me that? See, what you got to do is you got to take this control a little bit back. Okay? You're going to get objection. And when you get objection, you have got to have a formula ready for that. So if you don't take anything from today, the number one question you need to be asking is there any other reason outside of this one that is keeping you from moving forward? Does everybody feel comfortable asking that question? If they balk on you, what does that mean?
They're not telling the truth.
Yes, that means they didn't tell you the truth. They just used some excuse to get you off their back. Then they go, no, it's really the budget. No, I really got to get my wife on board. How can we help? Would your wife be on board with you if we could get you into a house that you're both very happy with? How can we get her on board? How can we help you get her on board? Okay?
And I think I've just realized something. I know my personality,
Mhm.
and if you push me hard,
Mhm.
I will not
Mhm.
engage.
Mhm.
It is just very contrary to my comfort level.
Yep.
And so I guess what I'm thinking about is I try so hard not to do that to other people.
Mhm.
And I think it's, like you said, it's the way in which you proceed and
Mhm.
the things
Mhm.
you do, because it is such an instant turn off for
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
To be when I feel like harassed.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think y'all are just, I think the way you're looking at it, I get it. I do. I get it. I don't want to harass people either. But you came to me because you didn't know what to do.
But what if they haven't come to you? That's where.
Are you calling on them?
Yeah.
All right. So here's an
I mean,
example.
it's nice when you have that rapport
Yeah.
already.
So you're still an expert, right?
Right.
So we called on a real estate agent a few weeks ago, and here's the first things out of her mouth. I'm already really good. I'm already doing 50 deals a year. My broker already loves me. I'm already #1 in the company. Why would I need a coach? That's what she told me. And let's buy you some humility while we're at it. Okay? That's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm thinking in my mind. But we don't say things in the South, we think them. So here's the part where I lied, okay? No, I mean, but I'm listening to this, listen, but they don't faze me because I hear all this stuff, right? So I go through my formula, I understand. You are really good at what you do. Congratulations on getting to 50 deals, because that puts you in a very elite category of real estate agents, right? Okay, so I'm listening, I acknowledge, okay? Is there any other reason outside of you being at 50 that would keep you from being open to some coaching? Or is that it? Do you feel like you're at the top of the food chain here? Well, I'm pretty good. If I could show you a way to do 100 deals, if I could introduce you to a couple agents in our program that are doing 200 deals, would you be open to listen to them about how we could do that for you? And that softened her up. You know what she said? Yeah, I'd be open to that. See, she came at me with a no, right? She's out. She ain't interested. Then I say, get your mind around this. If I could, I'll just let you talk to them, so you don't even feel like you're being sold. Just talk to them about how we're, you understand? So I find a lot of people come at you with a hard no, and then just through a little conversation and asking the right question, they soften up and go, well, if you could show me that, right? Well, let me ask you guys a question. If I could bring you an offer today for your personal house at top dollar, or an offer you couldn't refuse, how many of you in this room would sell your personal house right now? So look, so I got at least half the group. Look at how I asked the question. Right? but my point is, look at how I asked that question. So sometimes if I got to give some hard feedback, I say, with your permission, can I be honest with you? I understand why you're telling me all these things. I understand why you don't want to, right? Why you're thinking about the construction. I understand. I'm identifying. Let me give you 2 or 3 other ways to look at this.
You
Okay?
flip it.
I flip it. And I'm trying, what that is reframing you. All I'm doing is change, like you came to me with this mindset, but maybe your mindset's wrong. Okay? And sometimes, like with the mama thing, if they used it on me, I'd say I love my mama. I was raised by a single mom. I love her more than anything in the world. But there's some things I don't agree with my mother. Right? Not everything mama told us was right growing up. Okay?
Sometimes mom has a different budget than we do.
Sometimes mom's got a different, hey, sometimes, but that's my point. Sometimes she's got a different taste. Sometimes she's got a different taste. So I may say, can we both agree that sometimes we got different tastes in our parents? You know, and so
Sometimes mom and dad are given the gift.
yeah, there's all kinds of things. But what I'm trying to get you guys to say is, I don't,
Yeah, you gotta find that out. You gotta find out what mom's role really is.
What are you thinking?
Gifting down payment, is she just an
what are you thinking?
Well, like she said, if they're given the down payment, then, and I work with a lot of first-time home buyers.
Yep.
Mom and dad always come and pick every little thing about the
Yep.
house, and it's because the first-time
Daddy
home
makes me
buyer
look
doesn't
for
feel
this power
comfortable.
Sure.
So it's hard to say, don't listen to your parents.
Right.
They can ruin a
But I
deal
think,
like
you
that.
know, but then
That-
we have to
and-
figure out,
and-
okay, are your parents are gonna be deciding on this house with you? Because if your
Mhm.
parents are gonna be deciding with you, then we need to get on the same page.
Right,
And
right,
all be looking for the same thing.
right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you can do that conversation too.
That's isolating who your buyer really is.
Yeah.
So what's my formula though? I don't care what the objection is. I listen, I acknowledge, which is just agreement. I understand why you want to listen to your parents. I understand they're putting the down payment down for you. I understand that, right? Okay, isolation, is there anything else that would keep you from moving forward other than timing, other than you don't like this? Like I heard this one this morning because I was coaching another real estate team. I just don't like that the yard's not big enough. Okay, now here's the way you reframe that. I understand, right? I like a big yard too. Okay, if I could, but isn't it true that you're going to spend 95% of your time in the house? So are you telling me that the yard's more important to you, or is the house more important to you? You see, well, the house is really more important to us because I saw how you love this house. Okay, and what I do is make people think. So here's another one. Payments are $100 more a month to live in this house versus this house. And I say, well, for $100 more a month or $1,200 a year, you can have this versus the house you're in. And can't we both agree that this one is way, way better than the one you're living in? That's why we're looking at it, right? Okay, and for $100, we could not eat out at Longhorn one time a month, and you could have this house. And they go, well, so are you telling me that eating out at Longhorn is more important than you having this house? Because I can tell how bad you want it, right? You got to just keep breaking it down. Now, you say, man, it's a little hard. Here's what I would tell you. They're coming to you with uncertainty. They need you to, challenge just means reframe. Everybody with me? Here's my other option. Okay, let's just keep looking for the next one. Let's just keep going. I really need you to be, and if I'm making a bad decision, I need you to tell me that too, right? I told you that I was going to buy this wedding, this big nice lodge, and I made an offer at $1.1 million for this lodge. And they countered at 1.35. My wife was going to run it, have weddings, all the stuff. Big, beautiful, huge lodge. And my real estate agent, he went through this. He went through this formula with me, and he said, I understand why you want to do this. You want revenue coming into your family from your wife. She's great at hospitality. Will you see the wedding potential? But with your permission, can I tell you a few things you're not thinking about? You're not thinking about how much sprinklers are going to be to put in this house. You're not thinking about if the city comes back and says you need a new road. You're not thinking about parking. This 1.1 million is going to turn into 1.5 million. Are you prepared to have a $15,000 a month payment on this lodge? That's how he asked it to me, right? Well, that's a good thought, man. I hadn't thought about all that. You understand see how he reframed me? He actually taught me out of probably making a mistake. We could have made money with it. But my point is, thank goodness I got an agent who'll tell me that. A bad agent would have said, let's go buy that puppy for 1.1, the big commission.
I have a question.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
That's right.
How do you deal with, so your example that you just gave about the yard situation?
Uh-huh.
I have a buyer has a family situation. They have a 5-year-old and unexpectedly had twins that are now 10 months old. They have outgrown the house that we bought for them 4 years ago because they weren't planning to have more kids.
And I have a buyer for that house.
And she has a buyer for their house.
Okay.
Okay? My client will not put a sign in the yard or she's not
Or let
ready,
people buy it.
right? Because she is afraid she's going to sell her house, which we probably would.
Okay.
And be homeless because we've been looking for a while and they've got some very specific things they want in the new house. And we've talked about, and Jenny said, talk to her about short-term pain, long-term gain. That okay, they have family in town they could move in with. She is adamant. She is not moving the 5-year-old and the twins and packing up the life and moving with the in-laws. Which I respect as a mother, I totally get that. So we're stuck and looking for things and there is zero on the market, inventory sucks and what's out there is and so they don't want it. And so it's yes, they want to move, but the challenge is the flipping yard. They are on an acre and it's beautiful, and the husband will not give that up because he wants to play soccer in the yard with the kids. Well, that's great. The wife is going, and we've had that conversation with him. Both of us looked at him and said, 95% of your life is in the house.
Yep.
I mean, I get it. But, and we both said, something's gotta give. Either the price has to go up or you gotta be willing to give on the yard.
Yep.
But the house is what it is. We need this space for a family of 5. And we went to look at a house. The house is perfect. The yard is really small. We pulled in the driveway and he was like, I don't even know why we're here. And I said, I need you to get out of the car. I need you to come inside and look at this house. And I'll talk to you about the yard. Come through this house. We go through the house. We get to the backyard. I'm like, look, I know it's not the yard you have right now. I get it. I get you like to play soccer. I get blah, blah, blah. How many months out of the year? Tell me how many times a year you are in your yard playing soccer. How many times? 5?
Yeah.
10? We got to buy a house based on what's happening every day. How do you overcome? He will not flipping let it go. And I don't know how to get them. They're not on the same page. She is ready. At first she wanted the yard too. She is now sensing it's not going to happen, and I cannot get him.
Yeah. So he's telling you with his actions that the yard is more important than the house is.
Yes.
So that's the way I say it. So you're telling me, that you living in a cramped house
Yes.
with a big yard is
Yes.
more important than your wife's happiness.
Her pain is not his pain.
Now,
He's not interested.
here's what I'm saying though. But here's what I'm saying. Like my agent can say that to me.
Yeah.
See,
I could honestly, there are a lot of people I would never say that to. I could say that to him, and she would agree, and then later he would be like, "Don't say," not
well,
say
I'm
that.
just saying. Here's the reality. He is telling you that.
Yes.
So let me make sure the way I'd say it. So let me make sure I'm understanding. You're telling me that this yard is more, and living in a cramped house is more important than this. Is that what you're telling me? Because if it is, we don't have a deal. I can't put a deal together for you right
And
now.
I have said to him, "So is this is the most important thing?" And his response is, "It's not the most important, but it's just as important. And I feel like if we keep looking, we're gonna find the perfect."
So he needs to be reframed. Look, I understand why you would feel that way. I understand you love playing in the backyard. I get that, right? Is there any other reason outside of this reason that you won't move forward? No, this is it.
And I think it really is.
Okay, if that's the real reason, then the only thing you can do at this point is challenge him to say, I understand you want looking for the perfect house, but isn't it a myth that we get 100% of what we want in life? If I could get you 80% of what you want, a happy wife, enough room, and we could take you down to the park and play soccer 5 times a year, would that work for you? Because really he's telling you, and that's why I say to people, so you're telling me, I challenge people like that, so you're telling me staying where you are is more important than you going and getting what you're capable of getting, right? Because you're not willing to take action. And it is true. His wife does want to move, okay? And they are in a cramped house. So you're not doing anything other than just putting it on the table and going, I can't. But this myth of 100%, we're going to ride around and get the big yard and everything's going to be perfect. Listen, it's just not. I understand why you feel that way, okay? But it's just not possible in this market.
What I've said is that something has to give.
Yeah.
I mean, something does. You either you up your budget a whole lot,
Yeah.
or you give on the yard, or you give on the house. And you're already living in the give on the house, so that's not work.
Yeah.
And she's on board, but it's just taking him.
So it may just be keep trying to find. So he's got some uncertainty. So he's vacillating. He's vacillating. He's got some ambivalence. Right. So I go to the wife and I say, how do we get your husband on board with this? Because it's clear that you want to move. It's clear that this house is not working. you help me to figure out a way to feed him information for him to see enough to take action on this. Do we need to move beside a park? What do we need to do? Like I always say this, if your husband's a problem, how do we help your husband get on board with this? And she may say, well, you got to catch him at a certain time when he's most open on Saturday night and feed him 3 beers and relax and then talk to him, right? Get him out of this environment because he feels very defensive. I can understand why you're trying to defend this. I love a good yard too. Okay, all right, I'm going to let you take a break on this, but I want to go through the formula one more time. The formula is what? When we get objection. Objection is opposition thought. What do we do first? Then what do we do? Then what do we do? Then we, and then we, or reframe. If you like reframe better, just say that. If you feel like you're being too pushy. Okay? All right, let's take a quick break and then we'll keep going. Now, okay, so let's talk about this. So the fear that you do understand that the objection that a person is having with you is coming from fear. You don't know what that fear is. So give me all of the things that you think a person fears before they're taking action with you.
Unknown.
Fear of unknown, okay?
Making a bad decision.
Okay, be very specific about these. Making a bad decision about what?
I think making a bad decision financially.
Yep.
That's a big one because the house is obviously huge financial. And then just a bad decision for their family. I mean,
Okay.
there's so much in a home is a very personal thing. So, I mean, if you have like husband and wife who aren't together, then one of them doesn't want to have the other one be upset, and
Okay, all right, so that's one, making a bad decision.
Well, and just like you were saying, Sarah, especially dealing with, I think that the 2 hardest clients are husband and wife that aren't on the same page, and one might have a fear of, and you can sense it, they're making this move, they're thinking things are going to change, they're probably not in a good place to begin with.
That's right.
So there's a lot of fear on especially the person that knows that this is a Band-Aid.
That's right.
And so it's their largest investment, it's a Band-Aid. And then with the first-time home buyers and parents, because a parent can come in and totally almost derail a transaction.
especially an out-of-town parent.
Oh,
Absolutely.
the one that's on FaceTime looking at the electrical box, that one, but that's a fun one. And the fear of the child disappointing their parents in making their first largest decision.
Yep, okay. So those are real fears. The fear about, we don't know if we're going to make it in this marriage. Why would we buy this house together is a fear. What if my husband loses his job? That's a fear. So this one happened last week. We love the house. We want to move forward, but my husband's job stability is a little bit shaky. How do you give me enough information to take action on that? So go through the formula. What do you first do? And then you say, I understand. That is something to be concerned about. Is there anything else other than your husband, the shakiness of your husband's job, that would keep you from moving forward with this? No, that's pretty much it. I mean, he's in a good place, right? So what kind of information do I need? Because remember, I'm not an expert. You are.
You're gonna need to know what market value is for your home.
Okay.
What kind of equity you might have in it.
Okay. What's the worst case scenario is we put you in this new house and it doesn't work out, and if he did lose his job, we turn around and sell it. Because the average house is staying on the market X number of days. So address the fear. The fear is I get out of this one, I move to this one, then I lose my job. I understand. That's a legitimate fear. But let me ease your mind a little bit. Houses in this market are selling in, right, this time period. Worst case scenario, you do buy this house, we'll just turn around and put it on the market and sell it. I know it wouldn't be ideal, but if you really want this house, okay, so just constantly attack the fear. Money, the budget, this, that, you really need to understand, and you need to just challenge your thinking just a little bit, okay? And that's just reframing. Okay? Any questions about this? I don't care what the objection is.
What if your personal thought sort of agrees to theirs? You should wait.
Maybe you tell them that then. Yeah, I think being honest with a person is for long term, you're right. Maybe we thought this was the right time for do this, but in good conscience, I can't counsel you to move forward with this because of what's going on.
But you can't just turn around and sell it and get your own
Well,
closing costs and that
you
kind of stuff.
can say, worst case scenario, here's what it would look like. But I think if you don't think they should do it, then you can tell them, hey, just in good conscience, I don't think this is, understand why you want to do it, you love this house, maybe the timing is not right for you right now. So worst case scenario, they're going to be with you. Okay? So I just want you to really get this formula down because they got to fear something. Now you know where the objection's coming from. So right now, one straight homework assignment for every person in this room is go back and look at all the people who are sitting on the fence. Feed them more information. Right? Like I know you're sitting on the fence. Apparently I've not done a very good job of giving you enough information here. Let me send it to you this way. Would you like to meet out there again? Would you like for me to show it to you? Would you like for me to break the numbers down? Just keep like a slow drip.
So if you have somebody that's not responding back to you.
Yep.
Do you just maybe touch them 7 times like you mentioned?
Have you noticed how hard I've worked to get your attention? Something I'm doing is not working. I say that. Something I'm doing is not working. I've not been able to get and keep your attention. The reason you came to me was because you told me you're interested in this, but we're not moving forward with it. Is this something you still want to do? Would love to talk to you, just get some clarity. And if the time is not right now, it's not a big deal. Right? But if it ain't working, I just call it what it is. Something I'm doing is not working. I'm not connecting with you. Is there a better way for me to communicate with you? Because the last time we talked, it seemed like you were really excited about moving forward. And they may text you back and said, timing's not good, right? And what would I say if I was texting them? Other than the timing, is there anything else that would keep you from moving forward here? No, it's just the timing. Great. With your permission, I'm going to stay involved in your life. I'm going to stay in your face, right? Because these are all feelings. I've had days that I didn't want something one day and I wanted it the next day. I wanted it, now I don't want it. So what you're trying to do is called deal fatigue. And deal fatigue is, I'm hot, and you've let this go on too long without putting a deal together. Now I'm not hot anymore. So when a person indicates interest, man, you need to jump in there and keep feeding them information until they make a decision, which goes to the theory that I believe in, which is sell it, resell it. You sell it, and then you sell them again, and then you can, once they get in that house, you resell them. Not resell them, like sell them the value. Like, this is a great decision. This is a beautiful house, right? I know you said you want to think about it over the weekend. Let me feed you a little bit more information so you and your wife can sit around tonight and talk about it. Just stay in their face when they're interested in buying, okay? Because if not, you're going to lose them. Okay, when a person indicates interest in me, we jump right on it. If they don't take action, hey, have you seen, you know, it looks like you haven't seen enough to make a decision. Maybe you need to see a video, maybe you need to talk to somebody else, would you like to, right? You say, well, that's aggressive. I just think I've got conviction that I can help a person. If you have that conviction, why would you hesitate to help them?
Well, what if you've got somebody that they're a first-time home buyer and their price point is below 200 and they need their closing costs paid.
Okay.
And there's about a gazillion first-time home buyers in that same place that don't need their closing costs paid. And I know the right one's gonna come, and I keep telling them that, but how do you keep that motivation alive?
I think you keep feeding them and sending them things. I think you keep having conversation with them, keep having dialogue with them. You reframe them a little bit. I understand how you want the closing, right? But really you're an educator here. You got to get out of the sales mindset and into a coach mindset. Like, coach them. I understand why you want this. I know somebody told you that you wanted $3,000 in closing costs, but let me show you the reality of what's happening in today's market. Okay, we may not be able to do this. If I could get 80% of this, right? I always use the 80% rule. If I could get you 80% of what you want, the price points you want, the subdivision you want, right? What would you move forward? You'd move forward, right? Well, that's not 100% of what I want. Well, we have to reframe our expectation here. Based on the $189,000 you have, right? This is what is available in today's market. This is the best I can bring you, okay? And I'm working hard for you every day.
And then they say maybe I should wait.
See, I had a couple like that, and they started saving
Yeah.
just a little bit while we were still looking, and they ended up needing like $1,000, and that was easy to arrange.
Yeah,
So,
but we've talked about it, and
you know,
each
and
of-
how many months has it been now?
And
So,
yeah.
you know,
You can go ahead and have them too sit down, maybe, would you be open to speaking with another lender?
Yeah.
That might have a different program.
Yeah.
There's a community loan, it's only $500 down, then you would have your, you know.
Yep. If I could show you a way that we could do this with a lot less money down, would you be open to it? See, the validation is, you give me your objection. Chris has told me what the problem is. if I say if I could show you a way, Chris, that we could do this with less money down, you'd be open to moving forward, right? And I always ask right at the end to get that agreement from them. Yes, I would. If you could show me that, Chris, I'm in. Okay? If I said it's $25,000 a year, if I could show you a way we could do it at a monthly payment, you would move forward, wouldn't you? You just don't want to bite it off in one big chunk. That's right. Okay. Well, let me show you how to do that. That's validation. Validation is you're telling me we'll move forward if I solve this one problem for you. Like my renter, if I could show you a way to put down 5% or 10%, would you buy this house? Absolutely. I didn't even know you could do that. Feed them. Feed them more information. Okay? Any other questions about this? Okay, I don't want you to feel like you're being sleazy or slimy or aggressive but I do want you to know that you're an expert. And you need to bring that to the party here. That's why I'm calling on you, right? Sometimes I need you to tell me what to do. Like you guys tell me sometimes, tell me specifically what I'm supposed to do here, right? You're not saying, well, kind of tell me. It's like, what am I supposed to do? Well, this is what you're supposed to do when you meet objection, okay? All right, so let's finish up today with this concept of a 90-day burn. Typically, at the end of the year, a lot of real estate agents, their real estate businesses kind of tail off at the end of the year. Now, why do you think that is? Why do you think they show a downward trajectory at the end of a year in their real estate businesses? What are all the reasons? Okay, because do you believe that that's true, or is it a myth, or is that true that the holidays is a cyclical time for real estate? How many people believe it? All right, so we got a lot of mixed, right? So now this is why the EOS is so critical. The EOS forces you to get clear about what you believe. For example, I believe that people make big buying decisions when their minds are relaxed, which is typically on the weekends or when they're off from work. So I'm going to give you an example. I could see after Thanksgiving, everybody's been at our house, everybody's ready to strangle each other. I could see me telling my wife, let's get in the car and let's go look at some real estate. Because we're off on Friday and let's ride around and look at something. I'm most likely to make an offer on something Friday, Saturday, and Sunday than I am on a Tuesday. So what I would tell you is it all goes back to what you believe. I believe that the world has sold us that the world shuts down Thanksgiving, December, and January. Okay? I don't personally believe that. I personally believe that people make big decisions like buying houses when they are relaxed. So when they're off for 10 days at Christmas or 2 days, they're going to be out riding around looking at things. I mean, we looked at the property we bought for 7 or 8 times before we bought it. Right? We go out there every weekend and look at it. So my point to you is, you follow me here? So at the end of the year, I typically see people's business go down. Question is, why? Is it because it's true? Is it because you've tailed off? Because a lot of people do tend to get a little lazy at the end of the year.
Because you stopped working your business.
Okay? So the 90-day burn says this. If you went to a personal trainer and said, look, I want to get in the best shape of my life, and he told you, I need you to show up 5 days a week for the next year at 5:30 in the morning, you'd most likely say what? I don't want to be in shape that bad. I don't want to be in shape that bad. What if he said this?
How much would lipo
Okay. What if he said this? I can get you in the best shape of your life. Okay? All I need you to do is give me 2 days a week for the next 90 days. 3 months. Let's just start with 1 month.
If we start with margaritas, maybe we can get this.
Okay.
I've thought of this.
Right?
That feels doable.
Yeah.
I think that's the difference.
Okay. Well, this is the concept of the 90-day burn in your business. Is that it is a concentrated period of time where you consciously say, I am going to ramp up my activity during this cycle of my business. October, November, December. Because what I want to do is stimulate my own economy. Now, the way I stimulate my economy is I create things. I create opportunities for people to partner with me. I create deals. I create, right? Okay? I'm constantly looking for a reason to stimulate. So I may go to my sales team the last week of the month and say, hey, there's 4 days left. we're 20,000 off of our goal. Go to every person that's sitting on the fence and tell them you'll give them 3 months free. I'm just looking for any reason to get them off the fence because I believe that just through exchange of energy, once we get them in the program, we can always sell them to go to Seaside with us. You see what I'm saying? We can get referrals from them, but we can't sell them anything if they're not what? In the program. So what I do is I'm looking for reasons to stimulate this little economy. I just make up stuff. 90-day burn. Let's go out there. Okay? So like we had a lot of people on the fence with us, and I said, let me create this 90-day burn. So we gave people the ability to commit for 90 days. And if they didn't like it in 90 days, they could quit. But if they did like it, they rolled into a 1-year contract. See how I did that? That's just a mental construct. That got a lot of people off the fence because they didn't have to commit to a full year. So I just created that. So for you, you got to think, what is my version? What can I do to stimulate my own economy? How do I tap into my past clients, my current clients? Do I need to be hosting things? Do I need to be right? So the 90-day burn says I'm going to commit for the next 90 days to increase activity on my part. Okay? Now here's a list of things you could do. I didn't say you had to do, but you could do. Okay? So here's a list of things that you could do. And these are ones that I try to do every day. I don't do all of them every day. I'd be lying to you if I told you I did. But what I do every day is I come into the day and I go, okay, during my call times, from whatever time, 9 to 11, 1 to 3, here's all the things I could generate business from. Okay? Number 1, I can make calls out to my current clients. Typically within the first 90 days. This is when they're the hottest to refer you. Do you believe that? I mean, it's silly to think I'm going to call somebody from 10 years ago that I haven't talked to in 10 years. And, right? What you need to be thinking is, man, during the hottest time, when they're most excited is when you need to be calling on them. Hey, I love working with you. Who else do I need to be working with? Oh, so-and-so wants to buy a house. Great. So I go 5 calls out to current clients. Could be 3, could be 2. I don't care. Just commit to something. Okay? 5 calls out to potential clients. That's your hit list. I do think the 8-point script gives you some confidence. 5 calls out to your farm club. Now, let's talk about these 7 touches. Give me an example of a touch to a person in the farm club. So you come to work and you say, I got X number of people who are on the fence. Now we know why they're on the fence, because they got some fear. The way we're going to overcome that is we're going to give them what? More information. So give me some examples of what a great 7-touch system could be. Does it need to be the same touch every time? No. So it doesn't need to be a phone call every time. Give me some examples of what you could do to build a great 7-touch system. And there's no science to this, by the way. Like I have the 7 touches I use, but I don't care what your 7-touch system is. You just say, I'm going to go 7 times. Now, there are what I call linear sales, where I'm coming right at you and I'm saying, have you seen enough to make a decision? I'm coming right at you. But there's also non-linear sales tactics. Like, hey, let me send you this video. Hey, let me send you this, these images of this subdivision. Hey, let me show you a testimony of one of my other people that moved in there, how much they loved it. These are like, I'm coming at you from the side. I'm not hitting you head on. I may record something and send it to you on my phone. I may do a viewed it and send it to you, like I do the accountability sessions on Tuesday and Thursday. So every time it's not like, hey, sell them something, sell them something. It's like, hey, had a thought today. I know you're interested in this property. You know, I just sold another house in this property. Here's the number 1 thing they said they loved about it. Hope you're having a great day. I don't even expect them to come back to me, right? So give me some examples of what you could do. Are you understanding how it needs to be different touches? But if you're not going 7 touches, you're really not in the ball game. So let's say we take a meeting, you have your buyer, you have your presentation, where you get with them face to face. Very first thing I do, my second touch would be a follow-up like, hey, great meeting you. Let me summarize the meeting with an email. You said you wanted this. I said I was going to do this. Look forward. I'm going to follow back up with the phone call next. Now, my first touch was face to face. My second touch was a summary of the meeting. My third touch was a follow-up. My fourth touch may be a text message. Hey, love working with you. I'm fighting for you today. I'm in the office right now looking at properties for you. That's already 4 touches. 5th touch, video. Hey, found 2 properties, right? I'm going to be calling you. Make sure you get these. That's another touch. Okay? Now they come and look at the properties. Not 100% of what I want. Now we go through the objection model. Okay? Keep feeding them information. Okay? Hey, I got another person that lives in that subdivision. I want to get you on the phone with them so you can ask them some questions. You see how I'm trying to just come at you different ways? I'm not just coming at you one way. So when I say Farm Club 7 touches, the reason I can't give you 7 touches is because it's really based on your personality. Like, I don't mind doing videos, but if you mind doing videos, that may not be a good one for you.
How much time are you, like for your 7 touches, can you give me an idea of like time
Yeah.
frame?
It's typically dependent on one thing, the interest level of the buyer and the velocity of the sale. Like in his case, it's a big, right? It's right on the weekend. We may lose it. There's a lot. I mean, those touches may be compact. Sometimes it's like bam, bam, bam. Sometimes it's like, hey, we're just working with each other. I'm trying to get your business. It may be 6 months. So it's really dependent on how hot you are to go. I always ask people on a scale of 1 to 10, how serious are you about this? Man, I'm on fire. I'm ready to buy. I was ready to buy something yesterday. Then that means I'm going to have very frequent conversation with you. I'm going to go find you what you want. We're going to take action. Now, if I'm just trying to court you to get your business, it may be a slow drip versus a water hose. It may be I hit you this way. Like I create things and send out. Like I write a blog. Hey, did you read this blog that I wrote? Hey, I did this video yesterday on 90-day burn. Like when I do a video, I may send it to 7 brokers and say, hey, this is what your agents need to be. These are brokers I'm not working with, by the way. This is what your agents need to be doing right now. They may come back to me, man, that was really good. It's just a little touch. Then I may call them back and say, hey, if we can come in and do that for you, what would stop us from at least coming in and trying it? So all I'm doing is I'm looking for a reason to just push a little bit. An object at rest, so here's a belief, an object at rest stays at rest unless acted on by an outside force. That's Newton's law. An object in motion stays in motion unless acted on by an outside force. So people are in motion, and unless you're acting upon them, they just keep on moving. Okay? Now, what happens when I get to 7 touches and nothing's happened? What do you say now? What would you say?
You take responsibility.
Okay? Hey, have you noticed how hard I've worked to get your attention, but something I'm doing is not working? I've left you 2 voicemails, right? And man, you told me that you were on fire to go buy something, and for some reason I'm not being able to connect. So I'm going to try a different method because what I'm doing ain't working, right? I just take responsibility for that. It's not your fault you're not calling me back. It's my fault. So how do I make it more interesting for you? So I'm going to send you a text as soon as we get off the phone, right? I'm going to send you a video. I'm going to send you this. I'm going to keep going until I get your attention. But on 7, I don't keep going much after 7 unless I really think they're worth it. Sometimes they're just busy. It's like, and don't do this. I had an insurance guy always do this. I would really appreciate a reply. And he was trying to sell me life insurance. And, I'm like, that's not the way to do that. It's like, you're getting adversarial with me. And that is not the way, right? I don't have to reply to you if I don't want to. Okay? I didn't ask you to call me. I didn't ask you to try to sell me something. Okay? So I finally said I have taken action with another person that's in my coaching program because I don't go outside the family when I purchase things. I got enough people that I could spend money with inside the family. Okay? So thank you, but I'm not interested. He just kept going, kept going. So there's a difference between, who said it earlier, stalking or nagging or harassing. I'm not saying he was harassing me, but look.
He wasn't listening.
But he wasn't, right? I'm telling him, you want me to do business with you, get in Monster Producer, because that's the only people I do business with. How could I, in good conscience, go outside, people who are paying me to coach them, right? How could I do that? If I came to Nashville and looked at properties and I'm coaching your team, I'm going to give you a chance to represent me, the Wilson Group. I'm not going to go to another team that ain't using me. See what I'm saying? So my point to him is, in how in good conscience could I use you when I got all these insurance people I'm coaching? It just don't make sense. Yeah.
I'm having a little bit of it with a past client. I'm wanting to reach out and make sure everybody's happy, and do my post stuff,
Yep.
that I do. And I'm not getting any response. I mean, they were hugging me around the neck
Yeah.
and all, the thing. But I mean, maybe they are busy, but I'm going to try that. I've been trying to reach both of you, and so
Yep. Maybe something I'm doing is not working. Maybe you're just busy.
Yeah, maybe you're.
Look,
just
I love you.
That's
I just
fine.
want you to know I want to be involved in your life. Just nothing adversarial.
Right.
Okay? Nothing like, well, why aren't you calling me back?
I wanna make sure there's not a reason they're not,
Right.
make sure they're not, there's something wrong.
Yeah, hey.
That's
Because
what
there's
I
something
said,
wrong.
like, I said, no,
If there's
I'm
something
not
wrong, I
giving
wanna
you
fix it.
messages. Are you okay? I'm
Right.
not trying to be nosy, just wanna check on you, make sure you're okay.
Yeah.
I hadn't heard back from you, I know you're probably busy moving in and all, but
Yeah.
just shoot
If
me a
there's
text,
something
I'll
wrong
be
with the
there
house, I
tomorrow.
wanna know about it.
Yeah,
If
Yeah.
there's any way I can help, I wanna
Yeah.
do it.
And that's okay. So when you're looking at this, you can decide what level you want to go here. All I'm giving you is a menu. Here, when you get in the office or wherever you are, when you get in there and you say, look, here's I'm gonna commit to today. Today I'm calling past clients. Tomorrow I'm working the farm club. Okay? I work a little bit of each one. So I may not get 5 calls in, but I may get 3. Then I may get 3 farm club calls or text messages. Then I may get 3 of this. Okay, now notice I put the top 25 out there. Those are your biggest advocates. So what I do is create parties and events and things like that. And I'm constantly pulling them in and inviting those people to that. So imagine doing this much activity and imagine what that will do for your probability toward the end of the year, right? Now, let me look at this one because Christy actually did this and I thought this was really good. See where it says a reason to call out? Okay. I had a conversation with Christy once about how I was looking at some properties in Nashville to Airbnb, but because of the Airbnb regulations, I was uncertain about moving forward. Everybody see that? So a couple Sundays ago, Christy sent me an email on a Sunday, I think Sunday afternoon, that said, Coach Burt, I know you're looking at some Airbnb properties in Nashville. Metro Council met this past week. Let me tell you exactly where it is. Okay, let me tell you exactly where everything is. Now, so I went back. Great, that's a great move because you're always looking to do what?
Add value.
Call out, touch. That's a great touch.
It's
Hey,
a good touch and it's valuable.
yeah, it's valuable. Hey, I don't know what's going on in Nashville. I don't live in Nashville. So it was a reason. So you could go to every single investor you've ever talked to and say, hey, I know you're looking at properties in Nashville. Metro Council met last week. Let me update you on what's going on. I don't care what the reason is. Okay, like I do a Christmas party every year for all of my monsters. It's a reason for me to call out and say, hey, come to the house on the 2nd of December. Let's enjoy each other's company. Thank you for being in the program. I don't care what the reason is. I'm just looking for a reason to call all my people. Text, phone, Facebook, don't matter. Because I want to stay right in your face the whole time. Everybody see that? So you got to start deciding, like, what are some reasons that I could call out to people? You know, what are some reasons that I can go back to my base, I call it your power base, and love on these people. Because they may say from that phone call, you know what, I've been meaning to call you. I got 2 people, right? So these are all activities that we're pushing in the last 90 days of the year. Okay, and all I'm asking you is if you want to stimulate your economy, here would be what I tell you. You've come too far to limp across the finish line at the end of the year. I mean, I would hate to get to October and be tired and fatigued, which we all are, by the way, and then just shut it down the last 3 months and go, man, I came this close to hitting my goals this year. but I let off the gas in October.
I think some of my problem is not letting off the gas, it's just my clients are just harder to work with right now. I don't know if it's because it's getting towards the end of the year and work's getting busier and just getting ready for the holidays, and that's what's hurting me is my clients not being as responsive as they
Yep.
are the rest of the year.
So how do you take total ownership of that?
Now I need to call and see how to get their attention.
Yeah. Yeah, hey, I get it, that's the end of the year, but you know, this is a very important time. You told me what you wanted. We're moving that ball down the field. I like to build momentum at the end of the year. Just try to keep people in a forward posture. Don't let them stagnate is what I'm saying. Don't let your client list or suspects stagnate. Hey, let's keep this ball moving, right? Let's keep this ball moving, okay? And that's really what you're trying to do there, okay? Any questions? Okay, go ahead.
And I know I missed our coaching,
Hmm?
I think it was August, the 8-point script.
Yes.
I'm sure that's something that y'all went over.
Yep.
We can talk about it later.
Yep.
I'm not familiar with that.
Yep. All right. So the 8-point script is when you're calling out to people, a lot of people get nervous on what they're going to say, right? So some people are natural at this and some people are not. If you're not natural at it, it really don't matter to me if you're natural or not. I use a script. So the script is state your name. Hi, this is Karen.
Okay.
State where you're calling from the Wilson Group. Ask permission. Is this a good time to talk? They're either going to say yes or no. We have found that 90% of people say yes, it is a good time to talk, especially if they initiated some interest. Great. You indicated some interest on a property in this area, or so-and-so told me to call you, or I've heard that you were interested in buying property in that, whatever the purpose is. There's just 2 or 3 questions I got to ask you so I can help you. And then you decide what the questions are. What prompted you to email in? What prompted you to look at the property? What are you looking for? Right? They're going to tell you. If they're new people, you can weave in the EOS right here. We call it framing. We believe at the Wilson Group that every person deserves the right to have a professional represent them. Okay? So you're basically framing them and then pitching them. And then you're closing them at the end. And the closing is pushing them to something. Hey, I know we could do this over the phone, but man, if I could get you face to face and talk about this, this will save so much time if we could just meet for 30 minutes. Give them a little carrot to come in. So that's kind of script that we use. Yep.
I got 7. I missed
All right.
State
Name.
Where I'm calling from.
Company, that's 2.
Ask permission.
Yep.
Purpose I'm calling.
Purpose.
What are you looking for?
Question.
Yeah, question.
Discovery.
Yeah. EOS.
Yep, we call that framing.
Okay, and then push them to something.
Pitch.
Pitch, then.
The pitch, and yep. And the pitch is, if I could find, if I could find what you're looking for, would you want to go look? They may say, I've already found what I'm looking for. I want to go look at it. If I could get you in this afternoon, pitch is kind of a pitch 2. The close is locking that puppy down. If I could get you out there this afternoon, would you go look at it?
Can we sit down and have coffee, discuss it further?
That's right, depending on where they are in the sale. Maybe it's just pitching them to face. Maybe they're so hot. Look, I've looked at this property 7 times. I want to see it. If you could get your wife together this afternoon, I could get you in. Would you like to see it tonight? Okay, now, the reason that's important is because what you're trying to do is get in a cadence. I've listened to some people's phone calls, and they're all over the place. And listen, we like to keep phone calls 7 to 14 minutes. Okay, you don't want to be in the friend zone. There's a purpose to this phone call. Let me tell you the purpose of this call. Just a good time to talk. Let me tell you the purpose of this call. Here's right, I just got to ask you 2 questions. Bam, bam, bam. And you're getting in a rhythm. That's the 7-touch script. So when you're in front of your deal, a lot of times we'll put it in front of a person's face so they stay on that rhythm. If not, the conversation goes everywhere. Now that you know how to object, well, it's just not a good time. I thought I liked the house. What do you say then? I understand. Is there any other reason outside of you not thinking timing that you want to look at? No, it's really just a timing thing. Then okay? So if the timing was right, you would go look at it, right? Yeah, well, here's the challenge. Man, timing's a tricky thing right now in the Nashville market. We got to create our timing in this market. Things are happening so fast. So I could understand why you'd want to wait, but I can't guarantee you if we come back 6 months from now, we're going to have this, okay? I think if you just look at the property, you're going to love it. So can we schedule time to go look at it? And they're going to say, yeah, we'll go look at it. I believe all real estate is so when they get inside those doors, don't you? Once they can feel it, taste it, touch it, see it. I can't tell you. I like things about every house. I've almost made offers on houses I never should have made offers on because I just got in there and looked at it and touched it and saw it and thought of it and possibility of it. So for you, that's a big place to push people to. I got to get you inside that house, man. You're going to love it. But I expect multiple offers are going to be on this house within 24 hours. So I'm not trying to rush you or push you, but you got to know we're in a high demand market. We got too little inventory. Whatever you need to say. You're not scaring them. Is that the truth? Yes or no?
Absolutely.
So you're not using a fear tactic. You're an expert. Like if you came to me and said, look, I'm going to wait till January to start my coaching, what do you think I'd say to you?
Why?
Why would you wait till January? That's one of the biggest mistakes in the world people make is wait till the beginning of the year, which really means you won't be doing anything I teach you until March. We wouldn't have wasted 3 months. We'd have wasted 6 months. See how I challenge you right there? You know what you'd say? You're right. Let's get started. What if you gave me this objection? Well, I got to get my money right. What if we started you today and we don't bill you until January? Why would we waste 2 months? I'll just give you 2 months for free and you can start in January. Right? I don't care what your objection is. I'm going to come back at you and challenge you to think. Not in a negative way, but just, hey, you want to do this, right? Let's find a way for you to do it. If you won't be ready till January, I'll give you the 2 months for free to go ahead and get you in there. Then we'll figure it. Then we'll get you in, right? So I'm just coming to believe that if you're going to be a great salesperson, a sales professional, you have got to become good at overcoming objection, because you are going to hear it so much. And a lot of it is just fluff, guys. It's just fluff. Like, just give me a compelling reason to move forward. And you're not being pushy, you're being an expert. Okay? I'm a big boy. Listen, I didn't email in on that property if I wasn't serious enough to at least talk about it. Okay? So if you take me out there and I like it and I buy it, and you say, look, that ain't on you, it's on me. Okay? Because I don't have to do anything. Right? So just don't feel like you're pushing people. Feel like you're being an expert to people. Okay? Has this been valuable for you today?
Yes, sir.
You guys like doing the coaching sessions here? I like the intimacy of this group. It's a lot more intimate than in the big group, so we can talk and have dialogue. Okay, so today, 2 big things. The steps of overcoming objection and the 90-day burn. And it's up to you to decide what you're going to commit to up there. If you can't commit to it all, commit to at least a portion of it. Okay? All right, have a great day. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for being so coachable.